All right, I'm here at 6 minutes past 4. Gonna get in there.
Indeed, we are top of the league. Auckland FC is top of the league after just 2 games of this season's A-League, after a last-minute winner against Sydney at home at Mount Smart Stadium on Sunday. What an event it was. And just in case anyone missed it, that was a middle-aged man filming himself, singing and shouting at the football. Thoroughly enjoyed as well. Thoroughly enjoyed every moment of it, actually. It was fantastic. Just as we catch our breath, we've got a big game at the weekend, the derby, Wellington, Auckland, the first ever New Zealand football derby in the A-League. You won't have any time to answer your door to pesky trick-or-treaters tonight. This is the channel to be on. We have a very busy show lined up. We're going to take a look at that last-minute credible winner. We've got all the ratings from the game, from the grumpiest pundit since Roy Keane. We'll have Matt with Matt's moments. We get the lowdown from inside the port. We're going to be discussing some rumours floating around, words around the traps about Western Springs and its future, potential links to Auckland FC. And of course, we're going to build into the derby and welcome a member of the Yellow Fever on to join us. So that's going to be really exciting. We're also going to be listening to Paddy Gower later. He's not live on the show, but we are going to be seeing what he said and hearing what he said today. It's ruffled some feathers, as if the derby wasn't going to be exciting enough. Now we've got Paddy Gower involved in the football, and for me, that's my first peak A-League moment. I have to say, Paddy Gower getting involved with the football. Yeah. Welcome to the show, guys. We got Blair, Matt, and Robbie back. Good to see you guys. Thanks for coming again.
Good to be back, lads.
Yes. What a bloody game it was on Sunday. Like, I mean, I'll go first with this. Like, I went on my own to the game. Was a little bit late to the game. Got right in there in the south stand. Sort of sat next to the port because the port was already sort of full. And watched the game from there. But by the end of the game, as you could see, I was just beside myself with excitement. I mean, like, the VAR thing was really just sent the crowd into raptures, I think. Blair, you were in the port. I was just over from you, and I think I got some shots of you in there. Did you enjoy the game, mate? You look like you were the center. You were the center of the universe for the TV pictures. Because we
yeah.
Won't go that far.
You were.
No, you were. You were.
We rewatched it with the girls. I rewatched it with the girls, and I had to describe where I was in relation to where Blair is. You know, so you were the center of it, mate. So did you guys have a great day in the port?
Oh, yeah, it was brilliant. I think, like, we had 10K less at this game, but the crowd was just sort of a bit more onto it in terms of what we were trying to do. Like, there were points when we were doing the Sha-la-la-la Auckland chant that we had people on the sides getting involved too, which is sort of like, you know, like, that's what we're trying to do. And, like, to have it take off this quickly is just, you know, brilliant. Yeah,
it was spreading.
Yeah.
It was spreading a little bit, wasn't it? The fever was definitely spreading, and you could see that people that weren't in the port like wanted to be in the port, and I mean, it'd be great. The whole South Stand is going for it. Yeah, I mean, like, well, let's talk a little bit about the game first of all. Like, we inside the stadium can't actually see how many minutes to go when we're into injury time, but I think it was in the 96th minute, wasn't it? That goal went in.
97th, yeah.
97th minute, yes. It was literally the last seconds of the game. What did you make of it, Matt? That last minute winner? Did it always feel like Auckland might push a winner?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think both teams are they're just don't want to ruin my ratings when we get round to it, but I think both of them kind of almost cancelled each other out towards the end there, and I don't think there'd be many people that would argue that more or less the game was probably a bit of a 0-0, or obviously could have been a 1-1 there at the end. I think that probably was about fair. Each team walking away with a point, but it's football, isn't it? It's never over till it's over.
Yeah, Robbie, what was your take on the game?
Really even. I think there is a school of thought Sydney were unlucky. The draw probably was a fair result, but I think that's the swings of football. Like, you could say it. Auckland got a bit of luck with that VAR. I mean, it was offside, but it's that kind of lucky moment that you need. And then from that point on, the crowd got involved. The team got its tail up a little bit, thinking, oh, okay, maybe a chance. And they were just able to ride that off the back of what the Port, what the people in the Port were doing. They were able to ride that wave. If you put it in the mixer, 97th minute, anything can happen. And, cheeky Nando with the back heel, loved it.
Yeah.
So good.
It was a goalmouth scramble, wasn't it? Really, but like you said, I think the Port end was like sucking the ball in, because we had a few attacks in those final 10 minutes. Just going back to the VAR, I mean, when you're watching it in the ground, like, you've got no idea what's going on up the other end, and they'd scored their goal, the whole ground goes silent, and as it always does when the away team scores, but especially in the A League, I've noticed, because there are no fans, so it's kind of this eerie silence, and then it, they all walk back, and the ball was on the spot to take the kickoff, and it seemed to go on for a long time, and then it sort of got around the ground that the VAR was happening, and there was a chant went up, VAR, VAR. I'm like, oh, geez, well, let's hope so, and it was I think we got a bigger cheer than the goal almost. It was absolutely crazy in there, and so it was obviously was it offside, a touch offside.
Yeah, offside.
There was a moment in the build-up where before the ball came back out and was shot in, Klamala was in an offside position and then stepped in to get involved. So it's a little bit further back, but it is offside. I'm just curious to know, anyone in the actual stadium, did you hear the ref's explanation?
No.
They pulled up the lines on the big screen, I believe it was. But
that's right.
We were celebrating too hard to get the shit out what the ref was saying.
We didn't
the goal
care
was
less.
scratched off.
It's such a good spirit.
Because the protocol is with the VAR decisions in the A League this season, once the referee does that after he's looked at the screen or whatever, you're meant to hear the explanation over the ground's PA. Because I thought I could hear it watching the coverage, but I was curious because it sounded like after ref did that, everyone just kind of went, "Way, look!"
As soon as it went like that on the screen, it was no, in a sea of like emotion, But it did take a long time, and even watching it back on the replay, it was a long time
like 3 or 4
between
minutes.
the goal going in and it being disallowed. So there's a lot of tension in the ground. But and then that last minute winner was ridiculous. It was just ridiculous in the ground to be there. What did it look like on the TV? Was it kind of like, did you get a flavour of the celebrations going on? I mean, the team was celebrating down in front of us at the end, eh?
Yeah.
They were doing all this at the end. They got really carried away with it, which is great. It's great, but you do hope, Matt, particularly, probably you hope that doesn't come back to bite us, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you're saying that the players were.
Yeah, after the game finished, they because the Port was we're all going for it, and they came over and they were doing Auckland FC, tra la la la. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, right. I see. Yeah, okay, yeah, because there's a few teams out there. Did the manager come over? They do all the whole. They throw.
It was over.
Oh, okay, because they like shove players in front of the supporters. I don't know if you've seen that. They kind of like go.
Oh no! This.
Hey!
This was a. They were keen, They were on their own volition. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, right.
It was interesting to see
so
early in the season. I mean, it just shows. It just shows how it's just captivated every with the fans and the players and the cities really getting behind the team.
Yeah, for sure.
So we went top of the league and we all sung about it a little bit. which was fantastic. And I think I said last week, I feel like I've been here before with my days as a Spurs fan. You know, like you're top of the league after a few games. So let's, but I mean, Robbie, how do you assess Auckland in these two games? Like, do they? I mean, obviously we've won both games. I mean, are we a challenger, or do we look decent enough to carry on like this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yes, it is early days, but don't knock the fact that you've beaten probably the league favourites.
Yeah.
Inside 2 rounds, there's 2 wins, 2 clean sheets. It's
2 home
probably
games, though.
and 2 home games. Yes,
Yeah.
true. Look, it's a long season, but you got to start well, win your home games, and that's what the team's done. I mean, you just looking pure at the squad, and I've said this a couple of times already. Like, the talent is there.
Yeah.
Like this on paper, Auckland squad are challenges, but it's just how everything kind of comes together. So far, it's been a really good start. Yeah. But it's a long road.
It's a long season.
Yeah.
Well, this feels like a good point to bring on old Matt with his moments and his ratings. Have you got them there handy, Matthew?
I do. Yeah, I have them there. I was going to try and keep
Or-
them. I was just going to try and keep.
I mean, do you want to give us a little synopsis, eye in the sky, to begin with?
I was just going to probably agree with what Robbie. I was going to maybe mention just about it. What's really coming to the front is that when it comes to the recruitment, I think they've done really well recruiting from the back going forward. It seems they've got a lot of experience. They're really solid as the back four. No team's going to do well if they keep chopping and changing the back four at the back, and having Sakai Hall, Ganaka and De Vries there. I mean, if they can keep those 4 guys fit and play the majority of the games, they're always they're going to do extreme. They're going to do very well most of the games. And I thought Gallegos and Verstrati were pretty good as well. I said the recruitment's really good. They've really built from the back. Paulson's obviously a really good goalkeeper, probably the best in the league. Probably I haven't seen all the games. I haven't seen many of the teams, but I could argue that he's probably one of the best. So, I think where it's going to be quite fluid, but it is with most teams, is those front 4. They start with Rogerson, Gillian, Harrison and May. I think there's just going to be quite a bit of movement there. But then there always is. Most teams, they're always kind of chopping and changing those front 4. So, yeah.
All right, here comes Matt's ratings. Let's get into them.
Yeah, well, it just reflects what I said. Paulson was solid, really good. Sakai was great. Sakai Hall... You see Pinaka and De Vries both get an 8. De Vries he's really, really good on that left side. He's so solid.
Yeah.
Never makes a mistake.
He does look good. Where's he come from again?
Yeah, where is he? Yeah.
He spent a few years in Sweden and then had an ACL, came back to New Zealand and was playing National League.
Yeah.
He looks good, eh? Yeah.
He's solid as, And obviously, Pinaka and Hall in the middle is great. Sakai's really good. Yeah, Gallegos and Verstrati. I gave Verstrati 7.5. I thought he was, it would have been good to see how they would have gone against Costa if it had played. I was really intrigued to see how they were who was going to handle him. I'd imagine that Verstrati was probably going to have to be the guy that was going to have to try and look after him. So it's a shame that we didn't get a chance to see that. And then it I thought Harrison was probably the better of the 4. Gillen was quite good. I still think there's a chance. I've got Brimmer there at 6.5. I actually thought he actually came on quite well.
He takes the free kick that forces the goal. And so
he's just what he's got to be careful is he doesn't become a like an impact player, an impact sub kind of player. But he was quite good when he came on. I thought Harrison was better than when Brimmer started the previous game, but then I didn't think Rogerson had a particular good game this week. So I'm not sure if Brimmer can play, when Rogerson plays. We'll have to see. Randall
Moreno too, waiting in the wings.
So I think
Randall as well.
That front 4 is there to be. He's up there for discussion really. So. So have I got?
You're right. You're right. We're solid at the back, moving through the team. Yeah, it's. I really like Gillen when he gets on the ball. I think every time he gets on the ball, he looks like he's going to do something.
Oh, it's fearless. It looks fearless when he.
Yes, fearless.
So good. Yeah.
So, Pinaka, he gets man of the match for his absolute screamer at the end.
Yes.
Because
Mate,
what
he's made
a
for this
goal
stuff.
at the end. I mean, put it like what we
Yeah.
said earlier. Put it in the scramble. Put it in the scrambler. You
Back
never know
heel
what you're going to
nutmeg.
get. Backheel nutmeg. What more do you want from your big big
Have
centre
you
back
got
there?
have
So,
you got
yeah.
a few more of these gags lined up?
Oh, you're just gonna have to wait. I feel like I'm breaking character. I wouldn't even want to think about what Roy Keane would have thought about coming out with something like that. But yeah, who
That's
cares?
very good.
He's a mission.
Wow.
Whatever.
Jeez,
There you go.
Jeez, I saw 3 big lads out where I live in those 3 masks about an
Yeah,
hour
I
ago.
know. It's scary.
And then they're knocking on some door. I'm like, "Jeez,
Yeah. At
that's me.
night.
I'm hiding behind the sofa." Yeah.
Yeah.
Halloween,
There you
eh?
go. Yeah.
Robbie, what do you make of match ratings there? Because you've done your own ratings, are they sort of line up? Any
Oh, boy.
discrepancies?
Yeah, look, I did this not to take Matt's moments away from Matt. This is it's his segment. I was just
Yeah.
curious to see if we'd be pretty aligned. And look, I think we're close. Just scanning over them, I actually think I've gone like a point less pretty much for everyone.
Mm.
Right across the board. Hall Pinecker, yep. Sakai I thought was quieter than last week. Paulson similarly, but then again he didn't have too much to do, but one good reflex save second half, I think.
Yeah.
I thought
It's an
the striker was
important
outstanding. Yeah, massively
Yeah.
important save.
Yep.
I thought Guillermo Maya first half was outstanding. I thought he was there's to me really promising signs that he's going to be a huge force for the team across the season. And I expect there'll be a few goals very soon. But I actually had player of the match as Jordan Courtney Perkins from Sydney. I thought he was superb the whole day, as best on ground on a losing side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for
we
Auckland,
haven't talked about the Sydney players. I mean, they
Yeah.
got some good players. I mean, like you say, to win that game, we shouldn't underestimate that. Actually, they looked like they knew what they were doing most of the game. To be fair,
I mean, look, again, it's you ride the luck. You lose Joe Lolly and you lose Corey Holman, who are very influential players in that team. It's gonna cause a bit of issue for Sydney.
It's pretty much the same.
You gotta, yeah.
The last 3 games, so yeah.
So again, it's the luck, but you make your own luck, and you can only play what's in front of you. If the other team falls over with a couple of injuries, you got to make the most of it. So, fair credit, all credit goes to Auckland.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Yeah, no, it was a fantastic game. Great win. Well, moving on, we have another very big game coming up this weekend. Wellington Phoenix away. So Wellington Phoenix are going to play Auckland FC first time. Big derby. We've all been sort of thinking about this day, I think, since this football club was imagined. Football derbies across the world. We know they divide families, they divide communities, cities. Now we know clearly which side of the divide Paddy Gower's sitting on. After today's little number, caused a bit of a stir. So we'll get into that a little bit later. We're going to listen to Paddy's what is it? A rant he gave about Auckland FC and Aucklanders
rambling.
And but first, we're going to bring in someone from the Wellington Phoenix Supporter Club, the Yellow Fever, Ethan Franson. Welcome to the stage, mate. Thank you for coming. Welcome to Nice Drop Report.
Hello. Thank you guys for having me in a very civil manner. It's very nice.
Boo.
That's right. Might be a bit of that tonight. No, it's fantastic. Like we've said a few times on the show, we've sort of all. I mean, I personally have looked at Wellington Phoenix quite enviously from afar. You had this great football club, and you're still going. You had a good run last year. Something for the city to be proud of. And I have flown into Wellington a lot down the years, and you always see that the football on the hill often. I don't know whether they change it up, and sometimes it's not there, but it seems to be there a lot of the time, which kind of
in the Wellywood sign they often turn it into a football.
They do, yeah. And I always thought that would be nice.
It's a nice feature during the Women's World Cup, at least. So
yeah. All right. Well, why don't we all have a little listen
about a certain professional football team called
to Paddy Gower. Here we go. Let's get him on. Here he goes. Are you going to go, Paddy? Here we go. Well, remove him. Add him to the stage. Oh no, he's not going to let me down, is he? I've got too much going on tonight. Oh no, last week it was Blair, now it's Paddy. Oh, hold on a second. Here we go. Let's get him on. Oh no. Who heard Paddy? Who heard Paddy talking today?
I didn't hear him, but I did read the rant.
I read the rant. I didn't want to hear him.
I read
Yeah, you made the right choice. Yeah, I was an unfortunate one that had to hear it.
There is anyway. Anyway, it's not, the tech's not working tonight, but yeah, Paddy Gower's had a bit of a rant about Auckland FC today and Aucklanders. He's kind of basically said that, you know, like we sat back and we didn't want a football team. You know, we didn't care about football for 17 years. I mean, it seemed a little bit unfair. I've also quoted. I'm going to quote something he says. He said, "What about the Port's chants? They sounded suspiciously to me as if they were made by ChatGPT."
Oh.
And he says, "I know he says I know some people
Easy,
in the
Blair.
Port.
Easy.
I know for a
No,
fact
don't know easy. Just go, Blair.
Yeah.
He says some of the people in the Port, they've never even been to our Auckland's actual port in their lifetime, and he's called them Ponsonby hooligans." I mean,
it's funny he talks about the port because there's a port about 4 kilometres from Mount Smart and an inland port about 1 kilometre away. So I don't know where he's got that from. Clearly doesn't know anything about Auckland.
Fact check
him. Anyway, he's not going to play, so the segment's not as good as I thought it was going to be.
But
But
about a certain
here we go.
football
Here he
team
is.
called Auckland FC from a certain city called Auckland. Now, many Aucklanders suffering from the affliction known as Aucklander syndrome seem to think anything with the word Auckland in it is the only thing that matters, including themselves. Now, I, for one, am sick of the hype about Auckland FC, which is driven by Aucklanders and the Aucklander media. So let's get some things straight. They have played 2 games. Aucklanders didn't care enough about football for 17 years to get a professional team up and running. Literally, they could not be bothered. The only reason Aucklanders have this team now is because a rich American came in and did it for them. Truth. Now, Auckland FC are nicknamed the Black Knights, even though Auckland is blue and Knights are actually medieval. The last knight existed in the 15th century. Europeans first set foot here in 1769. So to be clear, there has never been a medieval knight in New Zealand. We have nothing to do with knights. A very, very weird nickname. Now, Auckland FC supporters, speaking of weird, are called the Port. Why? They are based at Mount Smart. It is so far away from the port, it is not funny. Actually, it is laughable. Because maybe we should ask the Auckland FC marketing team, because they created the port. It's not really a supporters club. Anyway, these Aucklanders will get what is coming for them this weekend in the first local derby, Auckland FC against the Wellington Phoenix. Now, the Phoenix are a real football club. They've been around for 17 years. They stepped into the ashes left by Auckland. The Phoenix is therefore a great name for a great club, and I don't care if we've never had a Phoenix in New Zealand. They have survived and thrived by people, thanks to people and a city who care about football. They are a real supporters club as well. They have one called the Yellow Fever, who've been there through thick and thin. Now, honestly, how good are the Phoenix? This will all be sorted out this Saturday on Derby Day. By the way, I'm Phoenix till I die.
There he goes. Wow, Ethan. Well, what? Did you know Paddy was such a big Wellington Phoenix fan?
I didn't know he was that big of a Wellington Phoenix fan, if I'm going to be honest. It came as a bit of a shock, but that is somehow the most Paddy Gower thing I think I've heard in my life.
No, isn't it?
I just respect the sheer just bullheadedness of like, yeah, sure, the Phoenixes aren't real, but like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's one of those, you know, in journalism,
I
you're probably
just
told
respect it. That's just
to
proper football
facts. And
fanaticism.
Paddy's just gone out and put his own opinion and stuff, and I rate that, you know, add that extra.
I rate that as
level
well.
of
He's going for. I mean, well, let's analyze a few things that he said there. I mean, this thing about the port seems to be a bit of a stinger. Like,
Come on, Blair. Step up, Blair.
The marketing
Step up, bro.
department of Auckland FC invented the port. Blair,
Yeah,
do you know
is that true?
Well, Auckland FC are the ones pushing the Black Knight name. We did the reason that we
He's saying the
Didn't want to
port.
be associated with.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's
We didn't
saying
want to
you
be
are.
associated with the Knight's name, which is why we're
Yeah.
the port.
Yeah.
I think there is serious confusion because I think on your like Instagram and social medias, you've got people commenting Black Knights, Port, Auckland, and everyone's confused about which monikers to use and stuff. It's if I were to speculate, because you mentioned that there's an inland port, I had zero clue because I don't know Auckland. I don't really care, but apparently there's an inland port.
What's an inland port?
I thought it was just the really fancy viaduct that. That's
Honestly, no idea. One of the boys on the port page mentioned it, so I figured.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so one of the boys on the port page mentioned there's an inland port about 1 kilometre from the stadium. So
I thought it was a bit harsh that we call ourselves the port, but none of us have been to the port. You know, like
Well, there you go.
like,
Maybe that's a lad's field trip to the port.
What would I do at the port? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of containers down there. Down at the
It's the same
port,
number
I
of
think.
pubs as by your stadium, so
some boats, some water.
yeah.
But anyway,
you
so Paddy stirred it up a little bit, which is great. And there's been there's
Stirred it
been
up
a
in the
few
right way.
stirred it up in the right way. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's great. He's a public figure, and it kind of needs a little bit of biffo on that sort of level. The other thing floating around is the social media, internet's been doing its round that there's a little bit of trouble expected down in Wellington. Between Auckland FC fans might be going down there to cause a bit of trouble. I did see a statement from the chief exec Nick Becker, who said that there's no credible evidence of anything like this before we get stuck into it. But I don't know, Blair, have you heard much about this and how this stuff's come about?
I've heard about it, and that's all. I haven't seen anything of any real evidence that this post exists. And Kirsty Stanway and Stephen Donald talked about it. I believe it was this morning or yesterday, and they mentioned the same thing. No sources, no comment, no post. Just nothing. And they referred to it as gutter journalism.
TV1.
Yeah,
is that
One News, is it?
Yeah.
One News.
They've gotten less reliable.
Yeah, that's right. It's all
And
clickbait these
because
days.
I'm sure Ethan has been having a look on Twitter too and talking to Yellow Fever and whatnot, looking for this post, and because none of our port boys have found it. So
no, I think both fan groups agree that while we joke about how we hate each other so much, both fan groups are way too smart, and we're not idiots. We won't have any fights.
we're not English.
No,
That's right.
Even though we've
That's
got
right.
English people, we've left.
He's talking
England
to
for
you,
that
Matt.
reason.
Yeah, are they segregating them?
There isn't a way. There isn't a
There
way.
is a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, are they actually going to
we-
have like a like an our football ground? There's Rottweilers, there's riot police.
There's
Don't start about
there's
your
a-
thing around and away.
Kiwis
Not
are
really like
Asians.
Birmingham.
There's-
It won't be
they
anything
put a
like
few-
Birmingham.
There's a few
Don't
bombs
start-
there put under the stadium if you start to tread over there. all that.
You're away.
It's just leashed Kiwis and Kias that they'll let loose on us.
Yeah.
A few of the locals guarding it.
Yeah.
Do we have any update on what we're going to call this derby? I mean, I've put up the derby. Like, is there anyone beat that yet?
The strong one around the Yellow Fever and all the Wellington fans is the Te Ika derby.
Te Ika derby?
Yeah.
Mention
Māori
that.
for North Island.
Mm.
Yeah, or even I don't know what the Māori word for classic is. Something like
Tomato
that. Something
Yeah.
like that would be good.
Yeah.
Kiwi, it's an interesting choice, Kiwi Classico, because no one really suggested it online, in my personal opinion. But the moniker's getting dropped, and it will just kind of naturally come, as will rivalries and derbies. You can only
Of
force
course.
so much.
It's got to be a bit more organic, isn't it? What's the general feeling among the Wellington fans then about this team? Because I mean, Paddy, there's a little bit of truth in what Paddy says. Aucklanders do have this reputation around New Zealand. Jaffers and
Yeah, absolutely.
Give us the lowdown on what the feeling is down there in the capital, Ethan.
It's kind of, you just wouldn't want to lose to Auckland, really. Like even if there was a Hamilton or a Christchurch team, just that extra edge of losing to an Aucklander, would just rub the salt in a little bit.
Us Jaffers.
Yeah, especially after you put the whole country into lockdown for months. We're still blaming
Oh,
that on you. Bud.
didn't we get the worst
Wow.
lockdown? You guys were having a holiday.
Yeah.
We were in our houses for 5
First
months.
lockdown, there was no cases anywhere else,
Oh,
and then
the
a couple of
first
you
one.
guys, and we're like, "Ah, damn." But yeah, I think
Well,
we're
let's not get into the pandemic drama, Ethan.
all slightly nervous.
On that again.
It's the old we should win, being home. However, Wellington's really cool A-League trait is that we like to be really shit in the first 5 games. Yeah, it's a proven fact. I think last season we got our most points. I want to say 9. Don't quote me on that. But we're really poor in the
Wow.
first 5 games. Home, away, easy teams.
Right.
You name it.
Good to
Sorry.
know. Good to know. But you've had a decent start though. I mean, only 2 games, but decent enough.
Yeah.
Win and draw.
Decent-ish. Yeah. Yeah. Who did we draw to first round? I'm blanking.
So,
Oh,
like,
gosh,
I don't know.
Western
You
United.
don't know.
Oh, we were so average that game.
It's so funny because I got home because I was working that Sunday. I got home. I got Cedars. The next game's still on. Turn it on. Western United win the ball. Get up the pitch. Cut back. Thurgate scores.
We were good in the first half.
Thanks,
And we
Blair.
sat there and went, we'll be all right. Like, no, come on, keep going. It's Western United. We're historically amazing against them.
Is this game though? Is it going to have that feel of a derby? Do we all think? Do we think because derbies, it's like blood and thunder, studs up, possible sendings off in the first half, managers going nuts on the sideline, anything can happen. Do we think we're going to get this, or is it going to be a bit more of a cagey affair?
I personally would say I think it's got it because the general vibe in ticket sales is looking very strong. We're looking well. You might get a half full, so 15, 16K. Like there's talks of being
They've already
quiet.
got 14 apparently. So
Yeah, and you put a noisy yellow fever is normally just the one aisle. When it gets full, you get 2 standing aisles. Get 2 standing aisles going in after every challenge. And I think the players are quite fired up for it too. Every manager and every player on both sides would have been told, you can lose the league, but just don't lose all 3 derbies. Like that's your redeeming factor every season. You could lose the league, but if you beat your rivals, you're the winner. So
Yeah.
Why are we having 3 derbies? Sorry to interrupt, Robbie. Why are we 3?
because we need
scheduling
27
26
games.
games, but 13 teams.
No, we need 27 games to make the league international standard enough.
Oh,
So it's like everyone, you get an extra game and then unite round,
Right.
which is fair enough. And
So
if
we
you're gonna
won't
put a
always
third
play
game in-
Wellington 3 times every season.
Not officially, no, but I bet the house that you do because
Because it's a
What do
derby,
you reckon, Robbie?
they'll generally do that similar to like the Sydney derby or the Melbourne derbies. They'll make those the kind of
Yeah, makes sense.
the key fixtures for each club will generally have the 3 games. So that's the derbies, like the big rivalry games that they'll more than likely.
I imagine it'll be big boost to the clubs financially as well, having 3 derbies. The derbies will sell more tickets and whatnot. And I think David Dome said that like a sellout for Wellington is a big payday for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It helps our costs massively, and I think next year being able to host 2 derbies because you guys have 2 this year.
Yeah,
we get 2 20K crowds, and we never have to worry about attendance for the rest of the season because I think our underlying numbers are about 8 or 9K. Domi came out last year and said 8 or 9K is break even on a game day, which is
that's about average.
all right for a 33,000 seat stadium. But we had the victory game and maybe the Bulls that got 10 to 15K each, and the profits from that were enough to mean that we were net throughout the whole season, which was huge to the club to not lose
as
money
far
on
as
game day.
And as far as a league-wide average, I think that was up there as well. 8 to
Yeah,
9,000,
and considering
so-
Wellington has an incredibly small catch pool.
Yeah.
For a little, you're a little
Playing
silly,
that card early.
Absolutely. Every time
Oh, you won't
league
be down.
attendance get brought up.
So this is going to be the biggest away contingent that the Phoenix has ever witnessed in its own ground, I imagine, this weekend. Blair, how many Jaffas we got going down there? What's the word on the street?
About 400 to 500.
Wow.
500.
So
That'd
that'll
be
probably be a
easily-
few mixed in outside of the away bays, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's enough to make a bit of noise.
yeah. We've had
See.
last season. We had some of the Victory boys come over. They were quite good. I think that ended up being maybe 50 to 75 of them. They were great, absolute legends. Although there was some rogue people wearing Wellington Phoenix shirts who avoided security, got asked to leave the area, went back around, and went and celebrated in the face of Melbourne Victory boys. And they didn't quite like that. So fights ensued.
Fair.
Play
Death
stupid
wish,
games,
by the
win
sounds of
stupid
it.
prizes.
These violent Knicks fans just
There you go. It's not all us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing about New Zealand, it's too small of a place to be, going and
Yeah.
fighting people when there's, 8 club photographers sitting around the
You
edge,
find out
so-
you're punching your second cousin.
Yeah, exactly.
At least you're not marrying her, Blair. Sorry. So yeah, defeat. How much is a defeat going to hurt then this weekend for the Phoenix when Auckland go down there and get a win? Ethan, is it going to be a
On the
big deal?
hypothetical that Auckland
Yeah.
go and get a win, I think I'll just probably go home, have a beer, and cry. Like
Fair enough.
they'll be like pub, and I'll be like, no, actually, I feel like shit. I don't want to watch this anymore. It even depends because we could even be, playing well the whole game, and you guys snatch a late equalizer, and we sit there,
Yeah.
we
Good
should
old
have bloody
Nando
won that,
again.
something
Nando
like
with the
that.
back heel.
Or the inverse, we'll feel on top of the world if you guys dominate us for 89 minutes and we get some stupid last minute header. and
I've
go
been
and
saying
take
the
away a
exact
point
same
from 3
thing.
points. Look,
I would
is it
love a
jammy?
scummy win that we
A
don't
jammy
deserve.
goal. Yeah.
Yeah.
the scenes would be great, but yeah, it'll be good to have a proper away contingent that you can bounce chance off, hear the reaction, play into. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
something that
I think it's going to be unusual for Wellington and Wellingtonians to see it because, so Blair and the Port and a few others are going down. Presumably, you'll be starting early on Saturday, is it? So it is Saturday, yeah. Starting early on Saturday, Blair.
Yep. Yeah, we're meeting up at I might actually have to quickly look up. We're
Shepherd's
down
Arms.
the pub. It's changed a couple of
Shepherd's Arms.
times in
Yeah,
the
I see
last
people
couple of
Pinacori
weeks.
Road. Yep.
Yeah,
Nice.
but yeah,
Walk
we
downhill for you guys.
yeah. Yeah, so we'll do that. March down to the stadium, get in our seats, and support the boys. And yeah, I'll be
Hopefully
flying out. Saturday
Hopefully, it's not
morning.
like an away pub in England, eh? Like, with the chance of a brick coming through the window of the away pub, say, Matt.
It's back to
Matt's
me again,
great.
isn't it? Yeah, I'm just
back to you.
here for the ag. Yeah. We don't have enough time for
Warming
the
up.
stories that I could probably tell you. So
It's
Be ready
the
for
March.
December 7th, mate.
It's the March here, isn't it? It's the March. There's always have to be a March, which is kind of unusual, like for us, new A-League people. Does that happen in Australia? Do they all have a little march, Robbie, to the ground?
Yeah,
It's a thing.
particularly with the big Sydney Melbourne derbies, there'll be a
Yeah.
fan march into the stadium, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
So can't wait to see what New Zealand kind of does with that, how they put their own twist on it.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's going to be great. Yeah. What have we got in the way of team news? So there is a bit of team news. Robbie, you mentioned it before. Who's got the team?
Are we going to address the elephant, Alex Paulson?
Ah, we haven't talked about Alex yet, eh? Yeah. How's that going to go down?
How's that going to go down if Auckland get a win at the end and he comes running over to the yellow fever and starts giving it the,
It depends on Alex, to be fair, because it's a very mixed vibe amongst Phoenix fans. Some Phoenix fans are like, no, Judas, get rid of him. Others are like, well, he's from Auckland and we sold him for, a club record transfer. So we're winning. Like,
this is what I was really curious about, Ethan, with the actual fan base. Like, is there actually that animosity towards him because it wasn't of his own making? Like, there's no
one knows because he was on loan, but also would he say no to Bill Foley? But also would he be like, yeah, I want to play in front of my family? Who knows? But it's a wide range of opinions. So if he comes over, gives us a wee polite clap, even if you win, he'll probably get post game, maybe a clap, maybe a few jeers, but moderately respectful on the way back.
And look, he doesn't seem like the kind of character, if you can cast your mind back
mind's back to the Premier League when Kanu scored for City against Arsenal, and then he ran the length of the pitch to celebrate in front of the Arsenal fans. I don't think he's going to do that. Doesn't seem like that kind of character.
He's spent a lot of time around the club and the academy, so I think he does have a soft spot for it. But he's, an Aucklander at heart who wanted to play pro football, and this is the path that's taken him.
Yeah.
But saying that, if he goes and rubs it in our faces, then hell, that's his Phoenix rep done.
I don't feel like he's that sort of lad. I haven't seen much of him.
No,
he doesn't. No. He don't seem like that's his thing at all. Talking of Kanu, I remember he was a very angry young man because he ended up signing for Spurs, and he'd been around the traps by then, and he was really good for us for a couple of years. Yeah, he was signed for Spurs, and he did quite well, But he was, I remember the run out against the fans. I don't think we'll see Alex Paulson doing that, but he might pull off some important saves, which might put him in the bad books down there. I think it's probably more likely.
We've got the interesting one of we probably think he'll be the best always keeper over the next 10 years.
Yeah, we might play Premier League football this guy.
So you want him to do well at club level, but club level is our rivals, so you don't want him to do well, but you don't want him to do shit and derail his career.
Yeah.
Or just for 3 games, in this season.
Yeah, exactly.
Crap for those. Yeah.
Man of the match for the rest.
Yeah.
That's right. Robbie, you got some team news as well.
Yeah, saw today, this afternoon, that Alex Roof has been ruled out with a knee injury, which is a massive blow for the Knicks.
Yeah.
Like I really rate him as a midfielder. In my eyes, he was the best. He's among the best midfielders last season, if not the best defensive mid in the comp. Captain of the side, I do love the way he plays. He's got like a calmness about him, but in saying that, he's not afraid to get stuck in either. And he's very much the glue in that midfield. So that's a massive out. That certainly plays into Auckland's hands.
Yeah. Because they've got Retray out injured as well too, so they're not particularly.
No, I don't.
Oh no, I saw on the ins and outs. Retray's returning from injury.
Yeah,
Rojas on the bench.
Yeah, Retray and Rojas have returned to the squad, so that's something we have.
Yeah, you at least have an exchange.
Slight shuffle in exchange. We have Mo Altai, who's quite defensive minded too. So he could slot into that more defensive role, put someone like Retray who's more between the two, and we would be all right. But obviously, losing your club captain, and never ideal. However, it will reduce the chance of a red card because Alex is known.
Is he the most likely?
I think he's just always on the end of some of the most atrocious VAR decisions I've ever seen in my life. And it's always just Alex Roofer. Like, someone slide tackled him, so he put his foot down, and they're like, "No, that's a stand. Off you go." Yeah, things like that. It's Mark Rudan's only season with us. He got sent off in another very controversial one.
Yeah,
against Perth Glory. We drew that.
We all want to play the Perth Glory at the moment.
Yeah.
They seem rubbish.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense, Perth people, but they seem rubbish. So Alex Roofer's out, and I did check. He is the nephew of the New Zealand football legend Winton Roofer. So I love seeing those little links with those guys keep coming back. So nephew of Winton.
Part of a nice Phoenix drinking game whenever we're away. The classic commentary lines. Alex Roofer, nephew of Winton Roofer. Drink every time you hear that.
I love it.
Drink every time you hear Ben Old's a golf prodigy.
The golfer.
That was a classic. All these sorts of things. So that Alex Roofer, Winton Roofer. That's a classic drink.
Talking to some of these old names, what do you make, Ethan, of Tim Brown sort of lining up with Auckland FC? Because he was a Wellington player for all his career, wasn't he? Pretty much. A lot of it. What's going on?
Transitioned into being a bit of a businessman now with his Allbirds and everything, but I don't know. I think it might have to do more with the way the clubs are structured. We have one owner, Rob Morrison. I don't. speak to him often because he's the owner. I think I've seen him once in the pub and I was wearing an Angry Birds hat. But, when you've got a new club that's built up a full consortium, you've got,
Yeah.
I hate to use it, but you've got American money combined with a lot of local knowledge and the scene. Just
And NBA money.
Yeah. So I think that's smart. And, for someone like Tim, who's also New Zealand football kind of focused, that would make sense for him. Obviously, you want your former players investing in your own team, but I can understand where he's coming from enough.
It's kind of it's sort of like switched allegiances. I did want to sort of talk about this a little bit because I was down in Christchurch last week and stayed at someone's house who I'd never met before, and he's a Scotsman actually. But really, gets up in the middle of the night to watch Aberdeen play. But he's also been a Wellington Phoenix fan. That was he chose that team, because they were the only team here. He goes up to Wellington to see them, sees them when they're in Christchurch. And I said, what do you make of guys who have switched allegiance from Auckland FC? From Wellington Phoenix to Auckland FC? And he's like, never. He's like, I was trying to get him on, Robbie, because he'd probably give you some stick.
He wouldn't. He wouldn't be the first. Don't worry about that.
No, and he's Scottish. It's just in him. Yeah.
Even Blair used to support Wellington. Hey, what's going on?
Oh boy.
So what happens when you have one professional football team?
It is interesting, and this is the thing. And I mean, I'm actually one of those people that Paddy talked about that I wasn't interested in the Phoenix the last 17 years.
No.
I've kind of been waiting for our own team.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. I think there will be a lot of people that have switched allegiances, so there could be some bit of that.
Yeah.
What's your take on that, Robbie? You've sort of done that a little bit, eh?
Oh,
yeah,
well,
not a little bit. I did do it.
Yeah.
I'll make no secret of the fact that I was producing the coverage on this side, that semi-final loss to Victory. As soon as the final whistle went, the scarf came off and said, "Thank you very much for the last 17 years, but I'm done because I've got my own team." I'm from Auckland, and it just, if I'm honest, it never really sat right with me. As the Wellington Phoenix, the only New Zealand team, I'm going to support them. But with an Auckland team coming in, it just didn't sit right with me to support Wellington. I'll happily back them against every other side, but when it comes to the derby, it's got to be Auckland. And speaking of Alex Ruffo, I talked with him. I went to a media content day before the season started, and I chatted with him. I had a laugh with it. Like, he understands. He said, "Mate, you're not the only one. Like, we got great crowds in Auckland." Which I was going to say, Paddy Gower. Every time there was a game at Eden Park, the crowds were pretty good. So it's not like we didn't care, mate. Anyway, it's
hold him back.
I said to Roos, like, I hate's a really strong word, but I don't really like you anymore. And he said, "Oh, mate, no, I get it. I totally get it. It's, it is what it is. Auckland's got their own team, so they're gonna be taking back some of their own fans. So
it's expected. Yeah. Go on, Blair. Sorry.
Yeah, because being sort of a New Zealand football fan when it was just the Phoenix was like, the Phoenix were essentially an extension of the New Zealand football team at that point. There was you supported both. Like they were tied together in that way. And now that you've got Auckland and Wellington's like I can actually go to games without having to forking out for flights or driving 8 hours to attend a game.
Yeah.
So.
It's absolutely lovely to have our own team, and going back to the Paddy thing, if he'd been in Mount Smart Stadium these last two games, it's kind of and what unites us is a love of football, and and Auckland. It's not like Aucklanders haven't cared about football or haven't wanted a team. We just didn't have one, and seeing this sort of like outpouring of emotion and excitement around the team has been absolutely wonderful, I think. Let's just segue into Ethan. How would it go down in Wellington if Auckland just kept on this run and had a run all the way to the grand final. I mean, you've been in this league for 17 years. You never got to the grand final. Imagine these Jaffas got there in the first season.
More wooden spoons than top 2 finishes.
Here we go. Shots fired.
It would be.
How would that go down, eh?
Everyone would put on this big brave face. You get called Manchester City, you know.
Yeah,
But I think deep down we'd just be pissed. Just pissed. Like, you'd pick up a hobby and you've been grinding at it so long to be good, and your little brother comes in 2 years later and he's better than you. And you're like, oh, just leave. Like, you know, it'd be one of those. But I think the sentiment is you guys have a decently strong team. Obviously, you can't tell until you're underway in a first season. But, you know, Corrick is quite a decent coach in his own right. You got a nice mix in your squad. Your imports, your locals, your experienced. So, you know, I think on paper, if you finished top 4, no one would be horrifically surprised.
Yeah. So I think top 6 is sort of the general consensus among most people.
We were talking
even
top 6 last week, eh?
But I think 6th, 7th, in and around that playoff spot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my ideal situation would be you lose to miss playoffs last game. That'd be hilarious. But it wouldn't surprise me if you make top 6, especially because some of the other stronger teams aren't looking as flash.
Yeah.
City are one that are kind of looking a bit
this only year. Sort of really Sydney FC and the Victory.
Western Sydney haven't hit the ground running either, so
yeah,
there's not much out there. And I'm with
Coast lost 4 games.
I think we look so solid at the back. You know, when you look at Pineacker and Hall in the middle, you know, and the 2 fullbacks, we look so solid. Obviously, Paulson. Like I don't see us. I mean, touch wood. I don't see us conceding a lot of goals so far from what I've seen. I mean,
yeah, it's like it is a small sample size, but against one of the best attacks in the comp last week in Sydney, yes, minus Costa and Lolly, Pineacker and Hall were put under pressure quite a bit, and they held up.
They were
like that's a great building block. So like you can't help but be confident in what, especially in the back line anyway, what this team's doing.
I'm going to pull out the spreadsheet here.
Oh boy!
Hey.
So in terms of goals conceded, Corica in his 5 seasons was 2nd, 1st, 8th, and 6th in goals conceded per 90. So like if we get anything close to that sort of first 3 seasons, then you know
you got a chance.
Top 4 at least, you know.
Yeah, you got a chance, and I guess we just need a sort of consistent goal scorer to come through, you know, and then we could have a run. Yeah, I mean, I like Gillen, but he's not really the centre forward, is he? He's sort of the inside forward.
Well, he's had some good chances, but he's just not quite got that finishing edge. Like he had a 1-on-1 against Brisbane, and then there was the chip that hit the crossbar against Sydney, and yeah,
that's right.
I'd like to see his decision making just a little bit better. Like
there was a few times he could have played the early ball into Rogers, I think it was, and he just didn't. And yeah.
But that'll come. That's time on the tools. Like you give him enough chances, it's all going to come together. So I'm not overly worried about that particularly, and I genuinely think Yerman-Wai's the guy up front, and as soon as that service comes in, he's going to start putting him away.
Yeah, he looks good as well. He looks good. Good stuff. All right, we'll just segue into a little bit of news around the traps. Talking to another person down in the South Island last week, who told me ahead of this decision today about the Speedway. So I don't know if you guys have seen in the news today, but the Speedway is the Auckland Council basically voted that they're going to be leaving Western Springs, moving down to Wakaraka Park in Onehunga. They've been there 100 years. Anyone that knows Auckland, Western Springs is the Speedway. And now the Auckland FC link to this, I mean, they have been linked to it, but my source down in the South Island tells me it's a done deal. Anyone else heard anything about this? Auckland moving into Western Springs?
I've heard little bits and pieces, but you guys probably have a bit more knowledge than me about it.
Well, there's a lot of anger around about it, you know, from the Speedway guys, as you can understand. But yeah, Western Springs, I guess for the football would be pretty good. Very central.
Yeah.
But by the sounds from the bits and pieces that I've read as well, it's I think Ponsonby Rugby would have to move to one of the outer fields.
They're in there.
They're going to do everything. They're going to tartan everything up. That can only be a good thing.
Because they're doing a full blown Melbourne City style, just building
sporting precincts. Yeah.
That'd be huge.
I think that's the key. You look at what happened with Sky and the way it's built and what it is now. Someone decided that it would be used for T20 tests. Make it good for cricket, and it's barely used there. Everyone's at the basin, and it's become a not fit for purpose, too big stadium, and it's just a stadium. So I think
you're missing that sort of Euro. You need like a Euro stadium in Wellington kind of thing, that sort of like 16K rectangular stadium,
which for Auckland is
perfect.
Exactly what it needs. Anything more than 20 to 30, it's just not going to look the same. So having that sort of 16 to 20,000 capacity, which multi-purpose, not ideal. You'd want it to be football only, but football. You have say Auckland Rugby, play a couple of games there, and then the bigger games you take them to Mount Smart or Eden Park. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does. And presumably Auckland Council get Auckland FC to pay for it if this pans out. Bill's
with Uncle Bill.
Right? Yeah.
Uncle Bill's wallet.
Yeah, again, you put
the black card out for us.
Put a light rail system in as well. Will you, Bill? So we can get to the game, environmentally friendly travel to the game. Be good.
So if you make it a full thing, because you have an academy and you'll need a women's team next year as well. So if you can make a full facility that hosts your men, your women, your training, your academy, I don't know how big the space is, but if you can get all of those in one area, absolute game changer. And then you have probably New Zealand football that gets to bounce between NZCAS, which is in its own right an incredible facility, and then the one in Auckland, it'll be fantastic for the country.
Agree.
It's good if it's done right, and if the stadium's rectangular.
I don't know if it's you talk about Speedway, but my mind started to wonder, and I don't know how I got onto. I don't know how I got onto this, but is Giancano Italiano? Is that his real name?
Yes,
Giancano Italiano.
Giancarlo.
Italiano. Is that is his real name?
Yeah, it's Italian. That's Italian for Italian.
There's a few Italianos in the league, actually.
Right.
Italiano is Italian for Italian.
What's Giancarlo Italian for?
Here we go.
John Charles, I think.
Gary. It's like being called like Gary.
Born in Australia, but he has Peruvian and Italian heritage. That will be where.
So it's like Gary. From. It's like Gary England.
Yeah, they're a bit like that. Yeah.
Kind of, right.
That's good.
Sure. Okay.
Have you been down to the Speedway? Have you been down to the Speedway, Matt? Are you close there?
I'm not a keen supporter of the old Speedway. It's a bane in my life, really. Where I live, it's 12 events a year, and it sounds like it sounds like a hornet's nest. It sounds like bees are going off. Whenever they're going off, they're just going round and round in that circle. There's going to be more pelters, aren't there? If there's any Speedway people listening, what are the chances of Speedway people listening? or 15 of them, or whatever.
I'm sure there's a crossover.
You're a NIMBY. You're a NIMBY. You don't want it on
what a Venn diagram that would be. Auckland FC and Speedway. It'd be like, surely there'd be like barely nothing in the middle of that thing. But sorry, I don't know. I just Giancarlo Italiano got me wondering. I don't know where were we? What we talking about?
I don't know, Matthew.
Alex
I
just
feel like another gag's coming, man. I don't know why. It's just...
Yeah. Go on. Sorry, as you were.
Matt plays a lot of golf, don't you? You've always been a golfer. That's your thing.
I was. I used to do a lot of boxing before the golf. That might be why. That might be why my brain's wandering a little bit.
A
bit of whatever they call it. But I like the golf. Yeah, they can build a golf course down there.
You got a good golf course, eh? Down near you,
yeah, got a few, yeah. But I thought Western Springs was always going to be looked at maybe playing cricket down there as a bit of a test venue, because Auckland doesn't get any cricket these days.
That was one of the venues.
Yeah.
Is it a cricket city? I don't know much about Auckland's demographics.
We get no cricket. Apart from
this is actually a spicy take, but I actually think Eden Park's actually a great cricket ground.
That one next,
me, like,
one next.
Oval.
No, I'm talking about the stadium itself. I'm talking about the stadium itself, because for me, the most important thing for a cricket ground is to be different. You know, to like have something about it. Like, every time you play at Lords, the only thing you ever hear about is the slope. Is the 2 meter slope of Lords, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
And like all the best cricket grounds have something about them. I love Eden Park because it's like there's no other ground like it. You know, short as fuck going straight.
Yeah, you could just
going square.
You can block it for 6. Yeah.
So I say top edge it for 6. Yeah, 30 meter
people assume that like, it's a place to run up big scores, but like we saw in the 2015 World Cup, Aussie got cleaned out for 150, and then New Zealand limped to like 152. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't like Eden Park. Hey, I've never enjoyed games down there of anything. It's just too big.
It's one of those to get in and out of.
Yeah, it's a shambles.
It's good when it's packed, but yeah,
if you're there,
it's not in the right place. Like it's residential. Like it's
the waterfront was always what we wanted, a waterfront stadium.
It should have been. Yeah,
the All Blacks there. We'll do Auckland FC. We'll play big cricket games there. But
there we go.
Yeah,
that's what we have over you guys. We have a waterfront stadium. It's
not
for its purpose, but it's a waterfront stadium.
Yeah, and you did it right. Like the walk from the city, Courtney Place.
It's 20 minutes. Hey, it's easy.
That's great.
It sits on top of all the train lines. Like it's really useful.
It's on the train. Yeah, it's on the train yard. I actually stayed in a hotel, which out of the window, I was just looking at the back of the stadium a couple of months ago, and it was just right there.
So ideally placed. It's almost because I live out in the Hutt Valley. So for those who don't know, it's kind of around the harbour up at the top. There's a little valley up there. But the only downside to that is because the train station and the stadium right next to each other, we have to catch the train into town, walk out to the pre-game pub, then walk back past the train station into the stadium. I'll do it because,
it sounds like a very New Zealand situation.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's start to wrap this up. So let's look ahead to the weekend. Ethan, plans for the weekend? Going to the game?
Normal ones for us. Yep, absolutely. So we'll organise a few of us to assemble here. We'll all have pre-drinks, bar the 2 sober drivers. Don't drink and drive, people. Pack into cars, head down to the Petone station, get the train in well early. Head to the Featherston where the Phoenix are meeting. I think they might have free drinks if you get there before 2. So I'm going to try and wrangle out moderately inebriated friends there. And then we'll go to our march, which is 4 p.m. for us under TSB, where I have on good authority that we have a couple of special guests who might be joining the march.
Paddy Gower.
Paddy Gower. I was going to say Paddy Gower.
Not Paddy.
Get on the march.
However,
come on, bro.
An iconic mascot will be joining the march from the, at least at some point on the Phoenix side. And then we'll, drum our way into the stadium and then go from there.
Beautiful. We're going to have about 14,000 already. Probably more by then.
Yeah. That's not including season ticket members. So
yeah,
we're quite a day-dependent city as well.
Yeah.
The weather looks like it cleans up during the day. Yeah.
Is it windy? Is it windy in that cake tin?
It's going to be, always.
Does a bear shit in the woods?
It's always fucking windy ass.
It's only mid-20s. Oh, nice.
Mid-20s? Warm. That's warm. Oof.
Yeah.
Sunscreen on. Blair, Blair will have his sunscreen on, won't you? You're going to start wearing sunscreen, Blair. I see you at these games. I'm like, oof. It's getting hot out
than me, mate.
I know. I went to that game on Sunday and I forgot all about sunscreen. I was literally, I'm like sitting there with the shirt, and the hat like this. So what's the port doing then, Blair? The similar sort of stuff, meeting up in pubs down there and having our own march.
12 p.m. we meet at the Shepherd's Arms and 3:15, we marched down, and yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Get in there, make some
ransack
noise.
the government on the way, walk past the beehive, burn it down.
Yep.
If only.
No football hooliganism, please. Let's have a nice New Zealand affair.
No. I think it's actually smart that the teams have put their marches at separate times. It's probably well organised and planned, but I still think it's one of those things that you could easily oversight,
Yeah.
You're walking down from 3:15, you'll get there. It's a 20-minute walk, so you'll get to the stadium at 4. We're leaving at 4, and it's a 20-minute walk, so we'll get there at kind of 4:35. I think, especially in a stadium that, because of its nature, you can only go in the one way.
Yeah.
That's right.
Unless you're on a bus going underneath, and no one wants that. So
yeah,
that's smart from both teams. And you guys might have to sit there an hour before and an hour after, but you know what? I'll have to do the same when I'm up there for both away games.
Nice.
Sit in your stands for extra hours. Happy or sad, we'll see.
Well, we look forward to having you up, Ethan. Definitely.
Yeah.
You'll be one of those few
Flight
people in the corner shouting and screaming when you score.
A few people in the corner.
Oh, you'll have a 10 or 15 up, will you?
I bought 18 tickets for myself and my crew, but
Wow.
yeah, there's a good attendance going up. Although it's
Where is
interesting.
So that's like half Wellington, is it?
All my cousins.
Where is the away section at Mount Smart? I'm curious.
Now, this is my favorite topic.
It's a good question.
So it's supposed to be other end in one of the stands.
That was supposed to be for the Aussie teams, yeah.
Well, for all teams.
Oh, is it?
And it was like, open up an extra bay, because that's what you should do. There's a shit ton of Wellington people. So they went, we'll give you 2 bays. Awesome. So they've put us between the port and the corporate boxes.
Wow.
So we're on your main stand, right next to your corporate
West
boxes.
Stand.
Whatever one where the corporates are.
Yeah.
So on our left will be corporate boxes. On our right will be you guys.
Wow.
So I feel sorry for whichever team's celebrating in front of their fans at the end, because they'll have to celebrate in front of both fans. We tried to call it out, but that can get a little interesting. I don't grade that myself, but yeah.
There you go. Interesting.
That'll go.
Oh, well, it'll be fun to see a big contingent of away fans at Mount Smart. That derby's in December, isn't it? Beginning of December.
I'm coming across for that, by the way.
Are you coming across, Robbie? Wow.
Okay.
I'm free of children that day as well, so I'm out. I'm out.
And I may
I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out. I may have several tickets through work available, but
Fantastic.
Oh, well, we'll take that offline.
We should all get together. That's right. Let's take that offline.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, Robbie, are you watching the game, or are you going to work through this one, or are you going to get to see it?
I unfortunately have to work. There's there's a Ninja A-League women's game that is on at exactly the same time as the game. So unfortunately, I'll be there, but I will watch the game. And I'll be trying to incorporate, like, whatever, if there's something awesome that happens, I will try and incorporate it into the coverage. So
lovely.
Well, have a great corner.
Enjoy that. And Matt, what are you up to the weekend? Are you going to watch this game? You want to come over and watch the game? Mine.
I've got golf in the morning.
Shopping.
And then hopefully football in the afternoon. Yeah.
You make it out of the country club
bar.
Hold on,
Is it? Oh, maybe.
It's kind of like this.
The other way around.
Push it up. It's like push it all the way. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have it on the big screen round mine, Matt.
Yeah.
Get out. Come around and see.
Should we do a quick prediction? Oh, you got predictions coming up?
No, we're going to do that. That's the final one. Yeah, predictions. I'll go for a draw. It's going to be a 2-2 draw. That's what I reckon. Yeah. Matt, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm tossing up between somebody's going to nick it 1-0 or it's going to be a 1-1. Yeah, I'll go with 1-1. 1-1.
1-1.
You've gone for a Desmond.
Desmond 2-2. That's right.
Yeah, like that.
That's a good one. What do you reckon, Ethan?
My head says it's going to be a 2-1 to someone,
but
my heart says I want to say I have to say 3-1 Knicks. Like, I think like 1-0, 1-1, couple of late, But no, I would. It'll be someone winning it late. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah,
and I don't like that.
Lottery. Blair.
I think 2-0 Auckland. I think we poach a goal early. I think it's going to be sort of similar to the Brisbane game.
Wow.
Poach a goal early and then let Wellington come onto us.
Yeah, I
and
like this.
then hit them on the counter.
Confident. 500 Auckland fans singing "We Are Top of the League" again.
Yeah.
Ooh, that'll sting. That'll sting. Robbie,
come on.
The whole time I was thinking draw because I literally couldn't go one way or the other. But then seeing Ruther out, I think we'll nick it. 2-1, 1-0. Yeah. My tipping comp, I'll probably end up going with Auckland. But I'll throw a bit of stat chat. There's no A-League franchise that has won ever their first 3 games as an entity. So there's history on the line for this.
Yeah, that's cool.
The only other side, so Gold Coast United have won 2, did win their first 2, and then they lost, I believe. The best run was Adelaide United season 1. They went undefeated through their first 6. Went win, draw, win, draw, win. So Auckland gets up. It's another piece of history.
no one's ever done the 3 wins off the top of the season.
No. First 3 wins in their maiden season.
Their maiden season.
Yeah.
Wow. There we go. History on the line. All right. Well, it's gonna be bloody exciting. I hope everyone enjoys it, and everyone else that's listened to this and watching this enjoys it as well. It is a bit of history, and I think the whole country's going to be getting into this weekend. New Zealand's one of those places we're always a bit late to the party, but then when everyone arrives, it's like, oh, this is the party to be at. So like, I think this is going to kick it off. Actually, I think this country once this goes on.
I've got to say the credit to both Knicks and Auckland fans, this is the first time, and I've been in Australia for over a decade. This is the first time that everyone's talking about us and taking us seriously. This is the game of the weekend, and fair play. The APL did schedule us properly. 3 big derbies in the first 3 weeks. All the eyeballs will be on this game. So
if we are both top of the league as well, so that kind of helps.
We could not have worked out any
teams
better.
to shame at the moment.
Absolutely. Well, may continue.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for everyone coming. Blair, Robbie, and Matt again, and Ethan. Thanks for swinging by, and good luck at the weekend. And
putting up with us.
Yeah, putting up with this. It wasn't too bad. The Bantay.
Yeah, you guys are all right. I won't punch you in, so
we're all right. Yeah,
and good enough luck.
Just watch out for Matt's break.
Yeah, I'll take Matt with his boxing and his golf clubs. He's looking on the loose in the suburbs.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. That was Nice Drop of Port. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Up Port.
See ya.
Hey.
At the port.
The port.